Good afternoon. A number of months ago, I had said that I was going to do a series on energy. And the first one I intended to do was hydrogen, which was fine, except that then they started coming out with new developments in hydrogen, one right after another. So it didn't get done. And now that seems to have slowed down. So I think it's time to go over hydrogen and the reason we're talking about hydrogen. As I have said before, we have to go through an energy transition. We're verging on running out of oil. It's less than 40 years now by any calculation. If you're my age, you might be able to survive on it till the end of your life, but if you're 20, not going to happen. So we have to do a transition because without energy, modern society will fail. And I know I've said this many times before. There are several options. One is fusion, one is hydrogen, one is better direct electrical storage. And interestingly, we are advancing towards solutions on all three. I'm going to start with hydrogen. The next one will be on the new batteries and storage solutions. And the third one, at some point in the next few weeks, will be on fusion. So, many years ago, Lord Kelvin, the fellow who created the Kelvin scale, a very famous scientist, was walking with a friend around a lake in London. And the friend asked, what happens when we run out? I think it was of coal, but it could have been of oil. What happens to us then? And Lord Kelvin, without missing a beat, said we burn water. And what he meant, of course, is we burn hydrogen. Water is composed of two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen. Hydrogen is overall the most common element in the universe by a great deal. It's over 90% of the molecules or atoms in the universe are hydrogen atoms. Even our oil is as effective as it is because it's a hydrocarbon. So burning pure hydrogen is about twice as effective as burning hydrocarbon for the production of energy. There were challenges in the way of using hydrogen broadly as a fuel source. There were challenges producing it because you have to produce it through electrolysis of water, or that's the common way of producing it. And when you produce by electrolysis of water, if you're using fossil fuels to power the production, you actually lose net energy over just using the fossil fuels. There were storage difficulties because the common method of storing hydrogen is pressurized tanks, and they can explode, so there were dangers involved as well. In the last 3 or 4 years, and particularly in the last 6 months, those have been largely solved. Green hydrogen produces hydrogen using renewable energy. And multiple new technologies that have emerged recently improve the electrolysis of water using green energy, including the use of seawater directly, so you're producing hydrogen without using fresh water, and others. And storage has been greatly improved in a way that also eliminates most of the threat of explosion, most of the danger inherent in using hydrogen. And that particular breakthrough has been in the form of tanks made of buckyballs. Buckyballs are a nanomaterial that we only discovered a decade ago, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. And buckyballs, tanks made of buckyballs, can store 8% of their weight in hydrogen. And when you think about hydrogen, which is a gas and weighs almost nothing, that's quite a lot of hydrogen. And buckyballs prevent hydrogen from exploding. When hydrogen is in a pressurized tank, it can explode if something provides that spark. In a buckyball-based tank, it can. So it simultaneously wipes out the biggest danger in hydrogen and the storage problem. Hydrogen would be ideal to power our big trucks, to power cars, to power etc. We already now have a hydrogen plane that has been approved, and I believe is either in production or the first one has been produced. So it would be a jet powered on hydrogen. Hydrogen historically has been expensive to produce, but these new inventions with green hydrogen are plunging the cost. Now, does this mean we have a hydrogen future? Certainly the hydrogen companies and ExxonMobil would like you to think so. ExxonMobil recognizes that they have to move to something, and their conclusion apparently is hydrogen. But is it clear that that's where we're going? I don't think it is. I'm not going to cover the other possibilities in this particular video because I want to keep it to 7, 8, 9 minutes. But battery technologies, oh my God. We have made jumps just in the last 3 months that are beyond belief. Renewable storage in general for direct electricity. That is its biggest challenge. The biggest challenge to a hydrogen future is an electric future. It's going to be one or the other. We may come up with more. I mean, there's talk about magnetically generated power, and I believe that can be done. And then you get into the things that we know can be done and which they now are experimentally show might be doable. Things like zero-point energy pulling and the transition of energy from nothing. I mean, really, they're transferring it from other locations. But it looks like nothing to the person at the end where they're creating the energy. Things like that are certainly coming up. But just as we did not go from horses to hydrogen, we're not going to go from gasoline to zero-point energy. Hydrogen is a transitional step. It may last another 100 years, but it's a transitional step. Or electricity is a transitional step. One or the other of them is going to probably take its place. And fusion would be a different way of generating the electricity, either for electrification of water and the production of hydrogen, electrolysis of water and the production of hydrogen, or for direct creation of power for storage in batteries and so forth. I've given a group of links below. I appreciate likes and subscribes, as I'm sure everyone does. Have a good day.